Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're doing something a little different.
Oh.
Yeah, this one is all about you and a topic you wanted us to explore.
Oh, cool.
Intuition, illusion, and glamour.
Sounds interesting.
It is. And you even gave us some material to work with, writings from Alice Bailey
Oh, wow. Yeah.
and a Tibetan teacher, Diwal Kul.
Okay.
Pretty cool stuff
Definitely.
from an esoteric perspective. So, yeah.
I'm ready.
Me too.
Yeah.
I've gotten a sneak peek, and there were some pretty intense ideas about illusion, glamour, and Maya.
Okay.
Even something called the dweller on the threshold.
Interesting.
Honestly, it's kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah.
But maybe we should start with just unpacking some of these terms before we get into the really deep stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
What do these words even mean?
Well, they all describe how our perception of reality can get distorted or clouded.
Okay.
Bailey and Jijawal Kul make some distinctions between them, like where they operate
Gotcha.
on different levels of our being.
So not just a general delusion situation, but specific types of delusion.
Right.
I noticed they differentiate between illusion and glamour.
Mm-hmm.
Illusion seems to be more on the mental plane,
Yeah.
like mistaking our thoughts for objective reality.
Exactly. It's thinking that our interpretation of things is the absolute truth when it might not be. Like, remember that time you were convinced that your coworker was deliberately undermining you?
Yeah.
But actually, they were just having a rough week.
Yeah.
That could be a case of illusion of power, where you think true power comes from controlling others.
Oh, I've totally been there. But glamour, that's different, right?
Yeah.
More about emotions clouding our judgment.
Exactly. Glamour works on the emotional level, and it can be seductive.
Yeah.
Bailey and Jijawal Kul talk about the glamour of authority, where someone feels so free and powerful they reject any guidance and end up trapped by their own ideals.
It's like getting caught up in a wave of anger and saying something you regret later.
Yes, exactly.
Or just letting your emotions hijack your logic.
Yeah, you only realize it afterward when it's too late.
Okay, but Maya feels much bigger than illusion or glamour.
True.
Yeah.
Maya is more encompassing.
Yeah.
Think of it like this.
Okay.
Imagine you're completely absorbed in a movie,
Okay.
so engrossed in the story that you forget you're in a theater. That's similar to Maya.
Oh.
Getting so caught up in the material world, you miss the deeper spiritual reality underlying everything.
So Maya is like forgetting there's a whole world outside the movie screen.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a good analogy.
Okay.
What about dweller on the threshold? It sounds kind of intense.
It is. It's a symbol of all the limitations of our personality.
Okay.
Our fears, desires, and past conditioning we have to confront to grow spiritually.
So it's not just theoretical.
No.
These things have a real impact.
Absolutely. How we see things and make decisions, even.
Okay, so we've identified the culprits, but where do they come from?
Well, Bailey and Jijawal Kul outline three main sources.
Okay.
The first is fascinating.
Oh.
Planetary influences.
What does that mean?
It's the idea that being human on Earth at this point in time comes with inherent limitations.
Huh. So some distortions are just part of being human on this planet.
Yeah, like we're playing the game on hard mode.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Their idea is that Earth is still early in its spiritual evolution,
Okay.
and humanity as part of Earth is subject to these limitations.
It's a humbling thought.
It is, but it also takes the pressure off.
Right. It's not all our fault.
Right.
What's the second source?
Humanity's collective creation.
Ooh, wait.
Think of it as all the thought forms and emotional patterns built up over centuries.
Already?
All the negativity, fear, and separateness.
Like we're all breathing in this giant cloud of psychic smog.
Wow. Yeah, that's a powerful image.
Right.
And we're constantly contributing to it
Oh, no.
with our thoughts and actions.
Okay, I'm starting to feel a little doomed here. What's the third source?
This is the most personal individual contributions.
Okay.
The choices we make, the patterns, we repeat the ways we feed the illusion.
So we're contributing to the smog A&D, breathing it in,
Yeah.
a vicious cycle. But is there any way out? How do we break free?
Here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
They say the key is intuition.
Intuition. So it's not about logic.
Not just logic. They present intuition as a higher form of knowing that bypasses the limitations of the logical mind.
Interesting.
They call it a synthetic understanding, a direct knowing that comes from the soul's connection to the divine spark and our integrated personality.
So not just a gut feeling, but a deeper connection to a source of wisdom beyond our ordinary thinking.
Yeah, they have this fascinating passage about how an idea moves from the intuitional plane to the brain.
Oh, wow.
And they say you need a mind held steady in the light of the soul. Almost like the mind becomes a clear channel for the soul's wisdom.
That's a powerful image. But how do we develop that kind of intuition?
It's not like flipping a switch. It's more like building a muscle. It takes training and disciplined learning to listen to that inner voice and trust the insights that come from beyond the rational mind.
I see.
Meditation and mindfulness are key here.
Oh, yeah.
They quiet the mind and make us more receptive to the whispers of the soul.
Okay.
Have you ever had a moment where you just knew something was right?
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Even though you couldn't explain it?
Yeah. It's like an aha moment.
That could be your intuition speaking.
Wow.
And as we develop this faculty, we start to see through the illusions that have been holding us back. We also get access to a powerful antidote to glamour.
Oh, what's that?
Illumination.
Illumination. That sounds like a spiritual superpower.
It kind of is. They describe it as the clear light of the soul reflected through the mind. Think of it as seeing things without the distortion of emotions or preconceived notions.
Oh, so like shining a spotlight on the fog of glamour and finally seeing what's really there.
Exactly.
Wow. But how do we access this illumination?
It requires humility. A willingness to face uncomfortable truths about ourselves and the world.
Yeah.
And a commitment to avoiding rationalization.
So being honest with ourselves.
Yes. Even when it's difficult.
That sounds like a challenge.
Yeah.
Do they give any examples of how illumination works in practice?
They talk about the glamour of separateness.
Okay.
Which is so relevant today.
Yeah.
It leads to conflict, prejudice, and the inability to see our interconnectedness. They specifically mention the conflict between Germans and Jews during World War II.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing how writings from the 1940s still resonate with the divisions we see today. Yeah, it's like we haven't learned from the past.
So how can illumination help in situations like that?
It allows us to see beyond superficial differences.
Oh.
We begin to recognize the shared humanity beneath the surface and understand we are all interconnected.
Interesting.
It's about cultivating compassion and empathy, even for those we disagree with.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
But what about the idea that the planet itself is contributing to our illusions? How do we overcome limitations built into the fabric of our existence?
That's a fantastic question.
Yeah.
It leads us to one of the most intriguing aspects of their work, the connection they make between breathing and dispelling Maya.
Wait, breathing.
Yeah.
Like taking a deep breath can clear away illusions.
It's not quite that simple, but they do suggest that breath work, when combined with focused intention and clear ideals, becomes a vehicle for inspiration.
Okay.
And for them, inspiration is the antidote to Maya.
So it's about aligning our breath with a higher purpose.
Exactly. They say that breath can be used to channel spiritual energy, raise our vibration, and connect us with a deeper source of wisdom.
Interesting. Are there dangers associated with that?
They do caution against misusing breathing exercises.
Okay.
They warn that they can strengthen the lower nature and intensify glamour if not practiced with the right intention.
So breathing consciously with a clear sense of purpose.
Precisely. It's not just about breathing deeply, but infusing your breath with intention and awareness. And they offer specific techniques and formulas for using breath work to dispel glamour and illusion.
For individuals.
For individuals and groups.
Fascinating. This is a lot to take in.
It is.
I think we should pause here and give you some time to digest this.
Good idea.
When we come back, we'll explore those techniques, delve into the role of avatars, and even see what they had to say about the future of humanity.
Sounds good.
See you in part 2.
See you then.
Wow. I'm still processing all that information about illusion, glamour, and Maya. It's a lot.
It is.
It makes you think about how those forces are playing out in the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Like world events, politics, historical trends. It can be a bit overwhelming to consider.
It is a lot to take in, but Bailey and Dijwal Kul provide a framework for understanding how these forces operate on a global scale.
Okay.
They say that certain nations at different points in time become focal points for various forms of glamour, almost like they embody them.
So entire nations can fall under the sway of illusion or get trapped in the grip of glamour.
It is a pretty intense concept.
It is.
But their analysis also offers a glimmer of hope.
Okay.
If we can understand these dynamics, we can consciously work to shift those patterns.
Right.
And create a more enlightened future.
So it's not all doom and gloom.
No, not at all.
Right.
It's about recognizing the collective shadows and working to transform them.
Okay. I'm really intrigued now. What kind of examples do they give?
Well, their writings are from the mid-20th century.
Okay.
So the historical context is different, but the principles still apply.
Right.
They suggest that during World War II, Germany became a focal point for world glamour.
Wow.
Japan embodied the force of Maya.
Okay.
And Italy represented world illusion.
That's a bold statement. What led them to that conclusion?
They saw Germany as embodying glamour because of its intense focus on power, authority, and control, all fueled by this collective emotional fervor.
I see.
Japan, with its emphasis on material expansion and military might, represented Maya, the illusion of material reality, as the ultimate truth. And Italy, with its strong mental polarization and focus on individual ambition, exemplified illusion, the tendency to get lost in intellectual abstractions and personal agendas.
It's like each country was caught in a different trap.
Precisely.
A different distortion of reality.
Exactly. And they go on to suggest that the Allied forces, even with their own flaws and limitations, represented the emerging force of what they called the angel of the presence.
Oh, wow.
The higher spiritual aspect seeking to dispel those illusions and glamours.
So even in the midst of global conflict, they saw a glimmer of spiritual evolution at work.
Yes.
That's fascinating.
It is.
It makes you wonder about the illusions and glamours operating in our world today.
Right.
I mean, we're facing so many challenges, so much division and conflict.
It's true, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed by it all.
Totally.
But Bailey and Cole's work reminds us that these challenges aren't just random events.
Okay.
They're part of a larger cosmic drama, a battle between light and darkness.
That's been playing out for millennia. It's like we've been cast in this epic play without even auditioning.
Haha, exactly. And that brings us to the idea of avatars.
Avatars. Like spiritual superheroes.
Well, they're not exactly wearing capes and tights.
Okay.
But they do play a significant role in dispelling glamour and illusion on a planetary scale.
Okay.
Bailey and Cool specifically mention the Buddha and the Christ as avatars who have profoundly impacted humanity's spiritual evolution.
Oh, wow. Okay, so how did they see the Buddha and the Christ working to dispel these forces?
They believed that the Buddha, through his teachings on enlightenment and the nature of suffering, helped illuminate the world of glamour, the emotional realm where so much confusion and suffering arise.
Okay.
By revealing the path to liberation from attachment and desire, he offered a way out of the trap of emotional reactivity.
So the Buddhist teachings were like a beacon of light, showing us how to navigate through the fog of glamour.
Exactly.
What about the Christ?
They saw the Christ as working on the plane of illusion, the mental realm, where we can get lost in false beliefs, dogmas, and rigid ideologies.
And how did the Christ address those mental traps?
Through his teachings on love, forgiveness, and the power of the heart.
Okay.
They believed he offered a way to transcend the limitations of the lower mind and connect with a higher source of wisdom.
So it's fascinating how they saw each avatar addressing a different aspect of the problem, working on a different level of our being.
Right, like spiritual specialists.
Yeah, exactly.
And they believed that the combined efforts of these avatars, along with the work of their disciples and initiates throughout history, have gradually been dispelling illusion and glamour.
Leading humanity toward a greater realization of spiritual unity and brotherhood.
Exactly.
So it's a gradual process, this grand scheme of spiritual evolution.
It is.
And we're all participating in it, even if we're not fully aware of it.
Precisely. Bailey and Cool believe that humanity is on the cusp of a major transformation, a shift toward a more enlightened way of being. But they also recognize that the forces of darkness wouldn't go down without a fight.
That makes sense. It feels like we're living in a time of immense potential, but also immense uncertainty.
It is a time of great transition. But even if these avatars are working on a planetary scale, what can we do as individuals to contribute to this shift?
That's the million-dollar question. It's easy to feel like our individual efforts are insignificant in the face of such vast forces.
Bailey and Cool emphasize that each of us has a role to play in dispelling glamour and illusion both within ourselves and in the world around us.
I like that.
They offer several techniques and suggestions, but it boils down to a few key principles.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are those principles?
First and foremost, self-awareness.
Okay.
We need to be honest with ourselves about how we might be caught in illusion or glamour. What are our blind spots?
Yeah.
What fears, desires, or past conditioning might be clouding our perception?
So it's about shining a light on those areas where we might be deceiving ourselves.
Exactly. It's not always easy.
Definitely not.
But it's crucial. We have to be willing to question our assumptions, challenge our beliefs, and be open to new perspectives.
Okay, so let's say we've developed a decent level of self-awareness.
Yeah.
What's the next step?
Once we have that self-awareness, we can begin to cultivate the qualities that help dispel illusion and glamour.
Like what?
Those qualities include discrimination,
Okay.
the ability to discern truth from falsehood, to see through the smoke and mirrors of the material world,
I see.
detachment, the ability to observe our thoughts and emotions without getting completely swept away by them, humility, the willingness to acknowledge our limitations and learn from others. We're all on this journey together, and we need each other's support.
Right.
And love, the most potent force for dissolving separateness and connecting with the divine essence within ourselves and all beings. It's the ultimate antidote to fear and division.
Wow, that's a powerful set of tools. But it's one thing to understand them intellectually and quite another to embody them in our daily lives. How do we make that leap from theory to practice?
It's an ongoing process, a journey of spiritual growth that involves both inner work and outer action.
Okay, I like that. What would inner work look like?
Inner work could include practices like meditation, mindfulness prayer, or studying spiritual teachings. These practices help us connect with our higher selves and align with the forces of light.
And what about outer action? What does that look like?
It means living our lives in alignment with those principles, making choices that reflect love, compassion, and wisdom. It's about bringing those qualities into our relationships, our work, and our engagement with the world.
So walking the talk, putting those principles into practice in every aspect of our lives.
Exactly. It's a tall order.
It is.
But every step we take in that direction makes a difference. As we do this work, we become instruments for the forces of light, contributing to the dispelling of glamour and illusion in our sphere of influence.
So it's like we're each holding a small candle, and together we can create a blaze of light that can illuminate the world.
That's a beautiful image.
It is. It's so empowering to think that we're not just passive observers in this cosmic drama, but active participants in shaping a more enlightened future.
Absolutely. We all have a role to play, and even seemingly small acts of kindness, compassion, and understanding can have a ripple effect, contributing to the collective awakening of humanity.
This has been an incredible journey so far. I'm in awe of the depth and scope of Bailey and DeWall-Cool's work. But we've covered a lot of ground, and I want to make sure you have time to process all of these amazing ideas.
Yeah.
Let's take another pause here.
Yeah.
When we return for the final part of our deep dive,
Okay.
we'll explore some practical techniques for working with these forces and consider what this all means for the future of humanity. See you in part 3.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive.
I'm ready.
Me too. I'm really excited to talk about some of those practical techniques you mentioned.
Yeah.
You know, for working with these forces.
For dispelling those shadows and stepping into the light.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, like how do we actually put this all into practice?
Right. Well, they offer a variety of techniques, both for individual and group work.
Okay.
But one that stands out is a 4-stage process for working with the breath to dispel glamour and illusion.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we're moving from the conceptual to the practical.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the first stage?
The first stage is recognition.
Okay.
It's about identifying the specific glamour or illusion you're dealing with.
So before we even start working with the breath, we need to get clear about what we're up against.
Precisely. It's like diagnosing the problem before prescribing the treatment.
Right. Okay, I like that. This stage requires honesty and self-awareness.
Yeah.
Like, what are our blind spots?
What fears, desires, or past conditioning might be clouding our perception?
So it's about getting real with ourselves and acknowledging those areas where we might be deceiving ourselves.
Exactly. It's not always easy to do that.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing that honesty is essential for this to work.
It is, absolutely.
Okay, so once we've identified the glamour, what's next?
The second stage is focusing light, and this is where the breath work comes in.
Right.
But it's more than just taking deep breaths.
Oh, okay.
It's about using the breath to channel the combined light of your personality and your soul.
So tapping into both our human and our spiritual energy.
Precisely. They suggest focusing this light in the solar plexus center,
Okay.
a major energy center in the body, and then transferring it to the heart center.
Interesting. Isn't the solar plexus associated with our emotions where glamour often operates?
It is, which is why they emphasize moving that focused light to the heart center,
Gotcha.
the seat of love and compassion. It's about using the heart's power to transform and transmute those lower energies.
Okay, I can see how that makes sense. So we've recognized the glamour focused, the light. What's the next step?
Stage 3 is direction.
Okay.
It's about consciously projecting this focused light onto the glamour, using intention to weaken its hold.
So imagine you're shining a laser beam of light cutting through the fog of illusion.
Yes, exactly.
We're actively dissolving the shadows with our focused intention. That's powerful. Yeah. What's the final stage?
The fourth stage is affirmation.
Affirmation. Okay.
It's about declaring the power of light to dispel the darkness, reinforcing your intention with a verbal statement.
So we're literally speaking our intention into existence.
Exactly. They suggest speaking the affirmation aloud with conviction and clarity to amplify its power.
Okay, I like that. This whole process sounds really empowering. You mentioned they also have techniques for group work.
They do, and the structure is similar, but the power of the group amplifies the effect.
Oh, wow.
It creates a force for dispelling glamour that's greater than the sum of its parts.
I see.
It's like a chorus of voices unified in intention, creating a wave of light that can wash away the darkness.
Beautiful imagery.
Yeah.
They believe that even imperfect application of these techniques can contribute to the greater work of the hierarchy.
Yes.
The spiritual beings guiding humanity's evolution.
Exactly.
So it's like we're all part of a vast network of light workers, each playing our part in the unfolding drama of human consciousness.
Beautiful.
It's humbling to think our small efforts can contribute to something so much bigger than ourselves.
It is.
But how do we know if these techniques are actually working?
It's a good question.
Yeah. Are there signs we're making progress?
Well, they suggest that the most reliable indicator is a growing sense of clarity and detachment.
Detachment. Doesn't that sound a little cold or unfeeling?
Not in the way they describe it. It's about detachment from the drama.
Okay.
And the emotional roller coaster of the lower nature. It's about stepping back, becoming more objective and less swayed by those fleeting emotions.
So it's not about suppressing our emotions,
Right.
but about observing them with more awareness, less identification.
Exactly. And as we develop this detachment, we become more attuned to the subtle energies around us.
Okay.
And it's easier to see through glamour and illusion.
I see. This whole conversation has been so insightful, and it feels like a perfect lead-in to a question that's been on my mind.
Okay.
Bailey and Jujwal Kul talk about the future, about a world where these illusions are gradually dispelled.
Right.
What do you think that world looks like?
I think it's a world where love, compassion, and wisdom become the guiding principles of human interaction. A world where we recognize our interconnectedness, where differences are celebrated rather than feared, and where cooperation replaces competition as the driving force of progress.
That sounds incredible, but also a long way off given the state of the world today.
It does feel like a long way off.
Yeah, did they offer any hints about how we get from here to there?
They emphasize the importance of individual transformation as the foundation for collective change.
Okay.
As more and more individuals awaken to their true nature, the collective consciousness shifts.
Right.
And it creates a ripple effect that can transform entire societies. It's like each individual is a single light bulb, and as more lights turn on, the darkness recedes.
That's a beautiful metaphor.
It is.
Makes me think about the responsibility each of us has to do our own inner work, to become more aware, more compassionate, more aligned with our true selves.
Absolutely.
This entire deep dive has been so inspiring.
It has.
Thank you for sharing your expertise and for helping us unravel these complex ideas.
It's been a pleasure exploring these concepts with you.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought-provoking question to ponder.
Okay.
If Bailey and Jujwal Kul are right, and humanity is on the cusp of a major transformation, what role do you feel called to play in shaping that future?
That's the question, isn't it?
It is. What steps can you take starting today to become a more conscious and compassionate participant in the unfolding story of human evolution?
Keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep shining your light. The world needs your unique gifts and talents.
That's beautiful. Thank you for joining us on the deep dive.
Thank you.
We look forward to diving into more fascinating topics with you in the future. Until then, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep shining your light.